Lviv, Ukraine and Washington, D.C. CNN. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is encountering stiffer than expected resistance from the Ukrainian military as well as unexpected difficulties supplying its forces, two senior U.S. officials with direct knowledge tell CNN. On the battlefield, Russia is suffering heavier losses in personnel and armor and aircraft than expected. This is due in part to the fact that Ukrainian air defenses have performed better than pre-invasion U.S. intelligence assessments had anticipated. In addition, Russia has yet to establish air supremacy over Ukraine, as senior defense officials said, as the Ukrainian Air Force and air defense systems fight for control of airspace. Ukrainian air defenses, including aircraft, do continue to be operable, and continue to engage and deny access to Russian aircraft in places over the country, the officials said. Without uncontested control of the skies, it becomes more difficult for an army on the move to see and strike targets from the air. Together, these challenges have so far prevented the quick overthrow of major Ukrainian cities, including the capital, Kyiv, which U.S. officials were concerned could play out in a matter of days. The city of Kharkiv near Ukraine's border with Russia also has not fallen to invading forces, which officials worry could happen on the first night of an invasion. Officials caution that this picture of the battlefield is just a moment in time, and the situation on the ground could change very quickly as Russian forces keep up their assault. These officials noted that Russian forces still greatly outnumber Ukrainian forces, and Russia continues to maneuver these forces into position around major urban centers. It's also unclear how much of the slower movement can be attributed to the logistical challenge of moving such a large force. The Ukrainian military has a number of different anti-aircraft weapons, including radar-guided and heat-seeking missiles, as well as anti-aircraft guns, according to Ms. Janes. The U.S. has also provided the Ukrainian military with Stinger anti-aircraft missiles in recent weeks, as have other NATO allies. As of Saturday evening in Ukraine, the U.S. had not seen any indication that the Russian military has taken control over any Ukrainian cities, the official said, even as Russian forces have moved to surround some population centers, including Kyiv. Keeping Russia's large invasion force supplied with fuel and ammunition has also proved difficult. As one senior U.S. official explained, Russia anticipated a fast victory and may have neglected to plan for sufficient resupply of its forces. Supply lines, this official explained, are a definite vulnerability. What we assess now is that he had to commit a bit more logistics and sustainment, in fuel specifically, than what we believe they had planned to do this early in the operation, said one of the officials. Russia's forces launched their invasion of Ukraine early Thursday morning, with missiles landing in cities across the country. U.S. officials have said Moscow's goal is to take Kyiv and decapitate the government led by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky turned down an offer from the U.S. to evacuate from Kyiv, Lviv, Ukraine and Washington, D.C. CNN. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is encountering stiffer than expected resistance from the Ukrainian military as well as unexpected difficulties supplying its forces, two senior U.S. officials with direct knowledge tell CNN. On the battlefield, Russia is suffering heavier losses in personnel and armor and aircraft than expected. This is due in part to the fact that Ukrainian air defenses have performed